Our final email is from Farak, who's from Spain. Hi, Images and Bally. This is Farak from Spain asking you another question. The other day, I saw Bally tweeting how unacceptable it was that Pokemon Sun and Moon did not let you post images in the Miiverse. Reading that made me realise something that shocked me. After checking many reviews discussing the game on forums like NeoGAF as well as Reddit and playing for some more than 50 hours, I've literally never seen anyone mentioning the word Miiverse until Bally did. This is particularly interesting seeing how quite a few people complained about the same feature missing in X and Y back in 2013. I, for one, remember a time when I actually used the Miiverse every now and then, such as when Sakurai used to post his picks of the day for Super Smash Bros. 4. I've even seen very few games that actually implement it nowadays. Remember when Nintendo Land or New Super Mario Bros. U bombarded us with other user posts? Well, I think the last game I played that featured anything related to Miiverse was Twilight Princess HD. So here's my question. Has the Miiverse become irrelevant? Do you think the Switch will still be compatible with it or drop it completely? And if it continues, do you think it will change at all? Or if Nintendo is planning to replace it with a new social network? Or maybe it will feature new ways of sharing gameplay akin to the PS4 and Xbox One. Some people were speculating about the Switch's mystery button. Thanks for your time and keep up with the good work.
Well, thank you, Farak. I think, unfortunately, this email came in a little while ago, so some information being out of date. We, of course, know the Switch has the capture button, which is going to be used for screenshots, and they say in the future video, not sure that I believe them, but we'll see. And also, we do know that Nintendo are dropping the Miiverse for Switch. So, with all that in mind, Bally, has Miiverse become irrelevant? Are we at a point that they don't do something similar on Switch? Because I can imagine a scenario where that capture button links to Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and has no Nintendo-based thing integrated into it. Do you think that they'll have something of their own, or are they just going to give up the ghost and say, guess what, we lost, other social media exist and they work just fine?
That is a really tough one. You know what, I think they might. I think that Miiverse was launched at a time where they were definitely a lot more confident of their Wii brand and the ability to say, hey, we're Nintendo, we can do our own social media. I think that for them utilizing Nintendo software through stuff like Twitter and Facebook was perhaps more tricky for them, but now obviously they're far more adept when it comes to online experiences than they were like 5 years ago. So I think there's every chance that they do ditch it. Has Miiverse become irrelevant? Yes. I think that people like you and me perhaps use it a lot more because we have a podcast. We have some people who follow us who are interested in what we're playing. But
it's more than that, though, right? It's like every time I log into Miiverse, I don't see any notifications anymore, really. And maybe that's lack of me posting images as much as I maybe used to, but my activity feed feels dry. Every time I load it up, there's not really anything new being put in there. And that is the nature of, I just think over time people got fed up with fucking waiting for Miiverse to load out of their game, and ultimately it was just not smoothly put into the system. It just took way too long to load it up. You had to make sure that you had something that was working with it, and then you had to post and then go back. It was just a time-consuming process that absolutely killed momentum, and that really was a problem. And I think Miiverse could be successful, or something like Miiverse could still be successful, but they would have to overhaul it in a way that made it usable and made it quick and didn't waste your time and was just an in and out thing, you know? So yeah, ultimately at this point, Miiverse is just a means for me to get my Nintendo coins, which, to be honest, why the fuck am I even doing that? Because my Nintendo, as we've said, is the greatest human tragedy of the last 100 years. So, yeah, you know, what am I even doing on Miiverse anyway? Which, you know, it's bad to say that, because I think there are lots of people who still like to use the system, and I know that, you know, there's always people who are liking things and commenting and having conversations on there, but ultimately it's not a convenient and easy to use service like Twitter or like Facebook, you know, and that sucks, because it's cool and it's weird, and it has that idea of you had the touchscreen to draw a bunch of weird shit on it, so it highlights, you know, artists in a way that, you know, something like Twitter doesn't. So I don't know.
We don't know the exact use of the share button yet, do we?
I mean, they have said it's going to be screenshots and
Right.
video. We don't know where that's going.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just a social media, but again, we could have this scenario where they have a replacement for Miiverse that is called something completely different.
And it might be like it doesn't even come at launch. It might come a few months down the line, which is always a shame.
Look,
but
going by the state of their current online plan, looks like a lot is coming down the line, unfortunately.
It's not great. It's not great. But
It reminds me of the 3DS launch where the eShop didn't fucking exist when that system
and
came
like,
out.
how can online stuff come down the line when you have a game like Mario Kart 8 HD coming out? Like,
Yeah, you know what? People were talking about this on a podcast the other day, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're right!"
what?
If there's
single
no
player
if there's no friends list integration or lobby integration on the system itself, like they've been
that's coming
suggesting,
out in
that it's
April.
going to be through the app, right? Like that game is coming out at a point in time where we're like months away from this phone application launching and having the ability to do voice chat and friends and
Splatoon 2, I think that's for like
exactly
summer.
like these two are big multiplayer games. This is why I don't believe them. This is why like they keep saying, oh yeah, the only way to do friends lobby stuff is via your phone. I'm like, there's no
It's
fucking
got to be a way
way
to enhance it. Yeah.
because there's no way people in April and in May are going to be playing Mario Kart and Splatoon and are not going to be able to contact their friends and make lobbies and do stuff like that. Like, that is actual insanity if they launch and that's not there. It's unthinkable. Like, you can't do that. You literally can't do that in 2017.
I feel there might be some bad news coming though. It feels a bit. The
But
confusion doesn't feel good.
I fucking refuse to believe that is the case. Because if they launch these games with no ability to just contact your friends and have them go jump in at the same time, what the fuck are they doing? Honestly, what the fuck are they doing?
But maybe the Miiverse replacement might be separate to the. It can't be separate, can it? I don't know. It might all launch at the same time, mightn't it? We'll see.
Yeah, and we've got months or a month ish. God, fuck me, it's close,
crazy,
isn't it? I think there's like one more show after this in between Switch coming out. So yeah, man, things are heating up. But yeah, as I was saying, like they still have to mention what is the UI of this thing. Like, I think we've got to know that there are some elements like on the screen. We've seen like this brief screenshot of like, hey, there's a button for photos, so you can check your image gallery. There's a button for the home. There is a button for some other thing. I can't remember. They've put out some details about some of those things, but I am pretty sure there will be a Nintendo Direct before launch to explain this stuff.
Yeah, and there better be. If there's not, then people are just buying a Switch without knowing pretty much anything about the OS and how anything works, other than how to run around in a field as Link. We know so little other than some details of those launch games that, a Switch is more than just the games that's on it. It's how those games integrate with each other and how they can build a social media network and how they can like connect and make this thing something more tangible and exciting for when you're using it in a different way than purely playing the games.
Yeah, I do wonder though, like, you imagine if you're saving screenshots to this device and throwing them up onto social media and potentially the nightmare scenario would be, hey, they saved your SD card and then put your SD card in your computer and then you can fucking put them up on your get me started.
That's Wii photo channel level.
Exactly. That is Jesus, don't even go there. You just made me think about the Wii photo channel for the first time in 6 years. Valley.
I love that. It was great.
That's a deep cut. It was.
Did you never just have a photo album and you stick it in your Wii and you're like, hey, everyone, check out my parents loved that.
It was cool. Couldn't you draw on them as well?
Yeah, you can do all crazy stuff,
Which I was actually going to mention that is there's the potential for them to be like, hey, take your screenshot and then we have an app or something that allows you to doctor them or to mess around with them, add filters, things like that. Like get in the kind of Instagram game, and kind of modify your photos before you put them up on social media, which I think could potentially either be built into the Miiverse replacement or it could be an app unto itself. I don't know, but I do think that their focus on, hey, you can save images is going to have something more to it than just we're going to upload them straight to social media. If you enjoyed this discussion and would like to hear more, consider subscribing to us on YouTube and following the podcast playlist. You can also find us on iTunes and various other places. Follow us on Twitter at TNL Podcast and email us thisnintendolife@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.